see it too. What is it?
We don't know, sir.
So can I get some of it? Yeah, it's a strange, small red light.
Welcome to this video on Darkness Falls. Today's episode has kind of a spot in my heart because 4 years after the incidents you're about to hear, I was at Bentwaters Air Force Base, which is a joint base with Woodbridge over in Suffolk, England. I kind of gave my brother hell after hearing this story that I never got to see the landing site. Hopefully sometime I will get back over there to see it. If you like the content that you are finding on this channel, I ask you to subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel now. Click subscribe down, or type in subscribe down below in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to each and every one of you as best I can. And right now, let's go ahead and see what happens when darkness falls. 42 years ago in December, the forest surrounding a U.S. military base became the center of one of the strangest events of the 20th century and a landmark event in ufology. Near Rendlesham Forest in Suffolk, England, the United States Air Force was leasing the military base RAF Woodbridge. Over the course of 2 nights, this wooded area was seemingly visited by beings not of this world. While encounters with UFOs are usually dismissed by skeptics, the fact that these events were witnessed by a number of dependable Air Force personnel has made this one much harder to write off. On December 26, 1980, guards at the east gate of the base became the first to witness the strange events of Rendlesham Forest. Around 3 o'clock a.m., they saw lights falling from the skies into the nearby forest. Granted, the skies over southern England at this time were experiencing an abnormal amount of natural space debris falling. This was different. Suspecting that this could be a downed aircraft, 2 guards were dispatched into the woods to see what had fallen. What these 2 men claimed to have found was a triangular metal craft covered in lights, about 9 feet across the base. Whatever this object was, it was emitting what they described as an electrical charge in the air, which drove the animals on the neighboring farm into a frenzy. One of these men, Tech Sergeant James Peniston, actually approached this unknown craft and got close enough to see a series of hieroglyphs on its hull. Succumbing to his curiosity, Peniston touched these glyphs, and his mind was flooded with images of binary code that he described as a kind of download. For the next 2 nights, servicemen at Woodbridge would report seeing bright lights floating among the trees in the woods. Hoping to get to the bottom of this and put an end to the UFO rumors on the base's second-in-command, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt, took a team into Rendlesham Forest. His goal was to inspect the site and find a logical explanation for the unidentified object. It was here that those hopes quickly faded away. Right where Peniston and his fellow soldier had their encounter was a 3-pronged indentation clearly left by landing gear. In addition to this, the Geiger counters U.S. Air Force personnel brought with them picked up a level of radiation far higher than normal. And it was what happened next which forever convinced Hall that he was not dealing with anything terrestrial. Apparently, Halt and his men spotted a red, sun-like light through the forest trees. Halt claimed that it moved about and pulsed while throwing glowing particles off its primary body and then breaking into 5 separate objects before disappearing. Halt claimed that immediately after the disappearance, 3 star-like objects were observed in the night sky. These objects, 2 to the north, 1 to the south, moved at high speeds and made sharp angular movements while flashing red, green, and blue lights. According to interviews the high-ranking officer has given over the years, they maneuvered in a way which was impossible for any new aircraft. Given that Halt had served in the Air Force for decades in a number of war zones, it's safe to assume that he knew the limits of man-made aircraft. As the soldiers observed these objects, a couple of the flying craft began to emit concentrated beams of light which eventually found their way onto the base, where they concentrated on the storage area for nuclear weapons. Many have assumed that whoever, or whatever, was behind these UFOs were deploying a scanner of some kind. In the years that followed, Freedom of Information requests and leaks from government officials revealed the extent of Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt's thoughts as to what happened in the Rendlesham forest. Not only was the seasoned military man convinced that what he saw was of extraterrestrial origin, but that the governments of the United States and Great Britain were trying to cover up the truth. One of the more interesting pieces of evidence to come from this was the Halt tape, released by Colonel Sam Morgan, who succeeded in taking command of RAF Woodbridge. This is Halt's real-time audio recording of his investigation into the woods where the UFO was seen. Here's the Halt tape in its entirety. It starts off kind of slow and mundane, but when the lights appear, Colonel Halt's demeanor and composure changes completely.
150 feet or more from the initial, I should say, suspected impact point. Having a lift going, we can't get the light all to work. Seems to be some kind of mechanical problem. Let's send back and get another light on. Meantime, we're going to take some readings with the gather cutter and chase around the air a little bit, waiting for another light on to come back in. 6, doing enough? That's security control. Yes, that's one of the pod number. Okay, we're now approaching the area within about 25-30 feet. What kind of readings we getting? Anything? Just minor clicks. Minor clicks. Reading impressions. One. Is that all bigger they are? Well, there's one more well defined. Security control. We're still getting clicks. Can we read that on the scale? Yes, sir. We're now on the 5/10 scale, and we're reading about third, fourth increment. Okay, we're still comfortably safe here. You don't have a light on? Yeah, it's ready. Security. Can you have them? There's still minor readings. Second with gas pod indentation. Security. This one's dead. Let's go to the third one over here. Yes, now I'm getting some residual. I can read now. The meter's definitely giving a little pulse. That's what I was going to say. Let's go to the center of the area next and see what kind of reading we get out there. You're reading the clicks. I can't hear the clicks. Yes, sir. Got about the center, Bruce? Yes. Okay, let's go to the center. Yes, I'm getting that's the best deflection needle I've seen yet. Okay, can you give me an estimation? We're on the 0.5 scale. We're getting... That's what we at approximately 01:25 hours. We're getting right at a half of a millirate. Last point. I haven't seen it go any higher. Let's go farther in. Okay, we'll go out toward the... Now it's picking up. This is out toward the number 1 indentation where we first got the strongest reading. Yeah, it's similar to what we got in the center. Not in a pod. It's mainly in the center. Looks like an area here, possibly. It could be a blast. It's in the center. That's hard to tell. You got to take this. My finger's about to freeze. Here's 2. Up to what? 7. What? Just jumped up to 7/10 there. 7/10 right here in the center? Uh-huh. We found a small blast, what looks like a blasted or scrubbed up area here. We're getting very positive readings. Let's see, is that here the center? Yes, it is. This is what we would assume would be the dead center. Just picking up more as we go along the whole area here now. Up to 7/10 or 7 units, it's calling on the 0.5 scale. Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we make a sweep? Here, I've got my gloves on now. Let's make a sweep out around the whole area, about 10 foot out, make a perimeter run around it. Starting right back here at the corner. Back at the same first corner where we came in. Let's go right back here. Don't let it depend upon you counting the clicks. Right. Okay, let's start it. Then I can put the light on it and sweep around it. It would fly. here, it looks like an abrasion pointing into the center of the landing area.
It may be old, though. There's some scent marks or something on it. Let's go on back around. Alright.
So it gives some extension on there.
Yeah, this is an awkward thing to use, isn't it?
Oh, let me see, I can carry it on my ears, but this one broke.
Are we getting any further? I'm going to shut the recorder off till we find something. Picking up? What are we up to? We're up to 2-3 units. Deflection, you're getting in close to one pod.
Picking up something. Picking up.
Okay, it's still not going above 3 or 4 units.
Picking up more though. More frequent.
Yes, you're staying steady up around 2 to 3 to 4 units now. Yeah.
Each one of these trees that face into the blast, what we assume is a landing site, all have an abrasion facing in the same direction towards the center. The same.
That's interesting. Well, let's go this way around the circle here. Turn it back down here.
Picking up honey collection.
Let me see that. Well, that's kind of funny. You're right about the abrasion. And I've never seen a tree that's never seen a pine tree that's been damaged react that fast.
I got a bottle to put that in.
Yeah, you got a sample bottle?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
For the soil. Put the
Yeah, here. Stick this on the ground.
Oh, you'll notice they're all the same.
Okay, from now on, let's identify that as point number 1. That stake there. So you all know where it is. We have to sketch it. You got that set, Nevels?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
To the wood bridge.
Closest to the wood bridge base.
Point 1.
Be point 1. And let's go clockwise from there.
Point 2.
Point 2? So this tree is between point 2 and point 3.
And 2 other personnel requesting to find them over your location.
Tell them negative at this time. We'll tell them when they can come out here. We don't want them out here right now.
Okay, the sample, you're going to mark this sample number 1.
Yes, sir.
Have them cut it off and include some of that sap and all. Is between indentation 2 and 3 on a pine tree about 5 feet away, about 3.5 feet off the ground.
I've got some more, but
There's a round abrasion on the tree about 3.5, 4 inches in diameter. It looks like it might be old, but strange, there's a crystalline pine sap that's come out that fast. See those other trees here that are damaged in similar fashion?
yes, off toward the center of the landing site.
Okay, why don't you take a picture of that and remember your picture, and you got to be writing this down. It's going to be on the tape.
Right. Got a tape measure with you?
This is the picture. Your first picture will be of the first tree, the one between mark 2 and 3. Meantime, I'm going to look at a couple of these trees over here.
We are getting some.
You're getting readings on the tree you're taking samples from on the side facing the suspected landing site.
4 clicks max.
Up to 4. Interesting. That's right where you're taking the sample now. 4. That's the strongest point on the tree?
Yes, sir. If you come to the back, there's no clicks whatsoever.
No clicks at all on the back. It's all on the
Maybe 1 or
side
2.
facing the... Interesting. The indentations look like something twisted as it got, as it sat down on them. Looks like someone took something and sat it down and twisted it from side to side. Very strange. We're looking at the same tree we took the sample off with this, what do you call it, star scope?
Star
You're getting a definite heat reflection off the tree, about 3 to 4 feet off the ground.
Yes, where the spot is.
Same place where the spot is. We're getting a heat.
And the spot on the tree directly behind us, I picked up the same thing, and one off to your right.
3 trees in the area, immediately adjacent to the site, within 10 feet of the suspected landing site. We're picking up heat reflection off the trees.
Like 5 and up.
What's that again?
Well, shine a light on again, Bob.
Well, you have trouble getting it. Yeah.
Getting right on the spot, and then when you want them,
Okay, turn the light on.
You'll notice the white.
Hey. You're right. There's a white streak on the tree.
Indicates
Let me turn around and look at this tree over here now. Just a second. White streak's right on the tree. I can see it. Wait a minute, give me a little side lighting so I can find the tree. Okay, off.
Alpha 2 security.
I lost the tree. stop. Light on. Hey, this is eerie.
What do the hot spots?
This is strange. Here, somebody want to look at the spots in the ground? Whoops. Watch your nose. We're walking all over the park here, sir. Okay, let's step back, not walk all over. Come back here and somebody put a beam on them. But you're going to have to be back 10 or 15 feet. You see it?
Okay, fine.
Okay, lights off.
He took this long to document.
What do you think about the spot? Yeah. Want to see the first spot? Okay, that's what we call spot number 3. Let's go to the back corner and get spot number 1. Spot number 1. Here's spot number 1 right here. Spot number 1 right here. You need some light? There it is right there. You focused? Okay. Look around spot number 1 through the starlight scope.
Take a slight increase in light as I go over it.
Slight increase in light at spot number 1. Let's go look at spot number 2. Spot number 2 is right over here. Right here. See it? Okay, get focused on it. Tell me when. Okay. Lights on. Let's see what we get on it.
Slight increase.
Just a slight increase?
Try to center.
The center spot. Well, it really isn't center. It's slightly off center. It's right there.
Put some more.
Okay. We gotta get your reading on it right there.
Okay.
Tell me when you're ready.
Ready.
Okay, lights on. This is the center spot we're looking at now. We're almost the center.
Slight increase.
Slight increase there. This is slightly off center toward the 1-2 side. It's some type of abrasion or something in the ground where the pine needles are all pushed back, and we get a high reading about deflection of 2 to 3, maybe 4, depending on the point on it.
Want to check it?
Yes. You said there's a positive after effect? Yes, there is definitely. That's on the center spot. There is an after effect.
What does that mean?
It means when the lights are turned off, once we are focused in and allow time for the eyes to adjust, we are getting an indication of a heat source coming out of that center spot, which will show up on heat or some form of energy. It's hardly heat at this stage of the game. It is looking directly overhead. One can see an opening in the trees plus some freshly broken pine branches on the ground underneath. Looks like someone came off about 15 to 20 feet up. Some small branches about an inch or less in diameter. Zero 148, we're hearing very strange sounds out of the farmers' barnyard animals. It's very, very active, making an awful lot of noise.
Wasn't a pigmentation.
You just saw a light where? Wait, where?
Right in this position here, straight ahead, in between the tree. There it is again. Watch, straight ahead off my flash right there.
Yeah,
So there it is.
Hey, I see it too. What is it?
We don't know, sir.
So can I get some of it? Yeah, it's a strange, small red light. Looks to be out maybe a quarter to half mile, maybe further out. I'm going to switch off it. The light is gone now. It was approximately 120 degrees from the site. Is it back again?
Yes, sir.
So we got the flashlights in. Let's move out to the edge of the clearing so we can get a better look at it. See if you can get the star scope on it. The light's still there, and all the barnyard animals have gotten quiet now. Yeah, we're heading about 110 to 120 degrees from the site out through to the clearing now. Still getting a reading on the meter. About 2 clicks. Meter's jumped 3 to 4 clicks, getting stronger.
Now it's now it's coming up. Hold up. There we go. At about approximately 4 foot off the ground. It comes to set to 110 degrees.
All right, just turn the meter off. You got to say that again. About 4 feet off the ground, about 110 degrees, getting a reading of about 4 clicks.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but
Excuse me. Now it's dying.
no, it's not. I think it's something other than the ground. I think it's something variable
Got
here.
the tree right over.
We just frightened the first night bird we've seen. We're about 150 or 200 yards from the site. Everything else is just deathly calm. There is no doubt about it. There's some type of strange flashing red light ahead.
It's yellow.
I saw a yellow tinge in it too. Weird. It appears to be maybe moving a little bit way? It's brighter than it has been.
Yeah.
It's coming this way. It is definitely coming this way. Pieces of it are shooting off. There is no doubt about it. This is weird.
To the left.
Yeah, definitely moving left.
Two lights. One light to the front,
Okay.
one light to the left.
Keep the flashlights off. Here's something very, very strange. Keep the headset on. See if it gets any stronger. Okay. Give us your rundown.
Notation that this is on a beta reading, too.
It's on a beta reading?
Beta
Okay.
still has been removed.
Okay. Pieces are falling off it again.
But it just moved to the right.
Yeah.
Off to the right.
Strange. Oh, well, why again left? Let's approach to the edge of the woods up there. Can one do without lights? Let's do it carefully. Come on. Okay, we're looking at the thing. We're probably about 200 to 300 yards away. It looks like an eye winking at you. It's still moving from side to side. And when you put the star scope on it, it sort of has a hollow center, a dark center. It's like the pupil of an eye looking at you and winking. And the flash is so bright to the star scope that it almost burns your eye. We passed the farmer's house and across into the next field. Now we have multiple sightings of up to 5 lights with a similar shape and all, but they seem to be steady now rather than a pulsating or glow with a red flash. We just crossed the creek, and we're getting what kind of readings now? Getting 3 good clicks on the meter, and we're seeing strange lights in the sky. 244, we're at the far side of the second farmer's field, and made sighting again about 110 degrees. This looks like it's clear out to the coast. It's right on the horizon. Moves about a bit and flashes from time to time. Still steady or red in color. Also, after negative readings in the southerly field, we're picking up slight readings, 4 or 5 clicks now on the meter. 305, we see strange strobe-like flashes to the rather sporadic, but there's definitely something, some kind of phenomenon. 305 at about 10 degrees horizon directly north. We've got 2 strange objects, half moon shape, dancing about with colored lights on them. But guessed to be about 5 to 10 miles out, maybe less. The half moons have now turned into full circles. As though there was an eclipse or something there for a minute or two. 0315, now we've got an object about 10 degrees directly south, 10 degrees off the horizon. And the ones in the north are moving, one's moving away from us. Moving out fast.
This one on the right's heading away, too.
Yeah, we're both heading north. So here he comes from the south. He's coming toward us now. Now we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground. This is unreal. 0330, and the objects are still in the sky, although the one to the south looks like it's losing a little bit of altitude. We're turning around and heading back toward the base. The object to the south is still beaming down lights to the ground. 0400 hours, one object still hovering over Woodbridge Base at about 5 to 10 degrees off the horizon, still moving erratic and similar lights and beaming down this area.
There's been no shortage of excuses trotted out as to what really happened in the Rendlesham Forest. The main element of the explanation lies in the Orfordness Lighthouse about 7 miles away. To the credit of those who push this idea, the timing as to when Lieutenant Colonel Halt and his men had their encounter and when the illumination from the lighthouse would have shown in that direction do match. But many have never seen the point of a light from a lighthouse project a secondary beam of light, much less a concentrated one. In the 2000s, the files on the incident from the Ministry of Defense became public, and people were shocked at how little investigation into the incident actually took place. Defense Minister Lord David Trefgarne was dismissive and recommended against an investigation into the event, stating, "No additional action was required." Since the UFO encounters at Rendlesham Forest involved American soldiers, it is safe to assume that the U.S. Department of Defense would have files on it. But in the 90s, Nick Pope, who investigated UFO sightings for the British government, found a dossier on American encounters with unidentified aircrafts overseas. To his surprise, in the entire 490-page report, the accounts of the soldiers at RAF Woodbridge were missing. The events at Rendlesham Forest have become known by many as the British Roswell. While the two events are very different, what they share in common is that high-ranking, logic-minded career military officers have gone on record saying that what they saw was not of this earth. while the government they served has put forth official explanations which come off as more far-fetched than the extraterrestrials. Despite the British government's denial that anything happened, the Forestry Commission established a trail covering many landmarks from the event. Since retiring from the Air Force 30 years ago, Charles Halt has consistently held to the story he reported back in the 80s. Every account he has given has been clinical, consistent, and grounded as one would expect from a logic-minded military officer, and not some layperson hoping for a few minutes of supposed fame. It's clear that over 40 years ago, something unexplainable happened in the 3,700 acres known as the Rendlesham Forest. Thank you for listening. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button, subscribe. Type subscribed down in the bottom in the comments. Let me know where you're from. I will try my best to get back to every one of you. And thanks for listening. And until the next time.